Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Complete Sports Media's podcast. I'm your host, Darren Campbell, and you see a three-shot today. We've got two great guests. Of course, you know, Jason Cameron comes on every Monday to do a weekend wrap-up of sports. First, hey, Jason, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing well, man. It's
Nice.
always nice to have a Monday off.
Yeah, no kidding. And we got Barry Grant Jr. from the All Evening podcast, all the way from New York City, joining us. This is going to be fun, Barry. I'm glad you could come in and do this with us today.
Yeah, man, it's been a while, Darren. It's been a while. Appreciate you having me on. You know, me and Jason, definitely looking forward to this, man. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, this will be a blast for sure. Yeah. We had a holiday weekend. I don't think you guys have a holiday weekend down there. We're celebrating Thanksgiving today. I wanted to ask you, Barry, any idea why you think Canada celebrates their Thanksgiving a month before the U.S. does?
No idea.
No idea. Yeah, I actually don't know the 100% reason, but I think it's because we have an earlier harvest, and they decided they would harvest all the food and vegetables, get the turkey in the oven, everything ready for our big meal, and I think that's why. Have you heard anything different, Jason?
No, I haven't. It would make sense though, because like if you look at where we're positioned, which is above the U.S., where they're at. And because of our temperature, that makes a lot of sense, right? Because we're colder up here than they are down there.
And also too,
what? Go ahead, Barry.
I said also too, you guys are pretty quick to the gun in regards to things. So maybe you guys are just, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I like it that it's a little bit farther away from Christmas. You got Thanksgiving and then you got Christmas so tight together. You got
it's messy. It's messy.
Yeah, it's a little bit. Yeah, it's not good. It's messy. I know what you mean. Yeah, so. We've actually had 2 long weekends in a row. We've had 3 long weekends in the past month, and this is totally unusual. Can you guess why we had a holiday last weekend?
There was a holiday last weekend too?
Yeah, for us.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Jason, you want to take this and let them know why we had a holiday last weekend?
Well, it's kind of important. It's actually very important. Basically the holiday there, Barry. It's called Truth and Reconciliation Day, and it's a holiday geared towards the people of First Nations.
Okay.
And because of the fact of like what happened with them and their culture and how they were abused over the past many years and stuff, and then the fact that mass graves were found from like residential schooling and stuff that was just all First Nations children. So with that being said, they created this holiday so that we could remember, the fact of what happened to them as a people, and that we could hopefully all learn and grow from this and move on from that, and hopefully avoid any further tragedies.
That's a great holiday. I mean, we're celebrating a holiday today here in the States. It's Columbus Day. And for me, I don't celebrate Columbus Day, and we know why. We don't celebrate Columbus Day, because I am not celebrating somebody who pillaged and took advantage and destroyed. We all know what it is. So it's like, we'll take the day off, but I'm not going to wish anybody a happy Columbus Day. I haven't done it since I was like 12, honestly.
Good. Yeah. Good for you. Yeah. And we actually had a holiday about a month ago because the Queen died, and our government, we belong to the Commonwealth for our history, and so we had a day that day to remember her and the day she was being buried and stuff. So yeah, it's been unusual. 2 holidays that just sort of came upon us, but nice
Question.
to get.
Question: is that going to be going forward, or that was just a one-time thing?
One-off.
That's just a one-off. Yeah, I think that's just a one-time thing. 90. What did she live to? 96 years. So
Well, first off, I'm just going to interrupt you and say when she did die, I'm gonna be honest, I was surprised because I didn't think she was ever gonna die.
Right.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Live forever.
she seemed like she was gonna live forever. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, man. Like for what she did, what she accomplished, obviously it was impressive. It was amazing, and the fact that she literally worked until the day before she died. She was still working, still getting stuff done. So that's impressive.
Yeah, that was impressive. Yeah, she actually did work the day before, recognized the new prime minister, and she had they had a big ceremony to bring him into power. And yeah, crazy, amazing that she was able to do what she did.
Yeah, completely amazing lady. And again, I know obviously she was going to have to pass at some point in time, but you just didn't think it was. Well, anyways, I thought it was just never going to happen. I just assumed.
I know. Yeah, exactly. Crazy. Yeah. This was obviously a wild card weekend. A lot of baseball going on. You shaking your head there, Barry. I guess not happy that the Mets ended up getting knocked out.
Listen, Darren, today it's one of the saddest days I've had in regards to being a sports fan, because the last time my team was this successful in the regular season, I mean, we had real aspirations to win a World Series. I mean, we're talking about the only season that I can compare this to is 88. I was 3 years old.
Wow.
And obviously I wasn't watching the Mets, but I know deep history about this team, and that team was destined to win the World Series. We had beat the Dodgers 10 out of 11 games that year, and we ended up losing in Game 7 in the playoffs to the Dodgers.
Jeez.
And it was like the air just left the room. That's how it felt in Queens over these last 3 days. Honestly, the Mets have been really, really subpar for the past month, since September, since they beat the Dodgers. And we had a very favorable schedule to be able to run the table, win the division, get the bye, possibly be right there in the running for the best record in Major League Baseball, and we completely shit the bed. So, it's upsetting, but at the same time, it's like, okay, this is the start of a new regime. Cohen's first year really owning the team, putting the pieces together, but there's a lot of players that are not going to be here next year. There's a lot of guys on 1-year contracts, and there's a lot of free agents on this team. So it's going to look very, very different next year. And we're just hoping that, the GM and everybody can be able to put together a contender, because you don't want to go down from here. You want to just continue to go up.
Yeah. Well, since Cohen has taken over, he's shown that he has deep pockets, that he's willing to open up the purse strings and get some top end talent. There are a lot of really, really good players there that are probably all going to need more money now that they had this year. But it was a shock that the Braves were able to come back on them and take the division, because having that bye going forward, they sure would have had such a easier road to go farther.
Yeah. I mean, listen, a lot of people say that the Braves caught them. The Braves are the defending World Series champions. People have to remember that, right? Sure. This is not a team that just came out of nowhere and they were down 10 games in the division and all of a sudden they got hot. They're the champs. They're the champs for a reason. They have a great team. And it's very rare that you see two teams in the same division win over 100 games. So to say that the Mets collapsed and won 101 games, it shows you the type of season that they had, right? The problem that I have with the Mets in regards to how the season kind of fizzled out is certain things happen because of the moves that you make prior. Mm-hmm. At the trade deadline, Billy Epler decided to go bargain hunting instead of going to go get himself some real bats. And you get what you pay for sometimes. Guys like Darren Ruff, guys like Vogelback. Vogelback was pretty good. Had his moments, but Darren Ruff was a complete disappointment. And when you have injuries and guys are not hitting like that, this is where those big trades would have helped you, because you would have had more help in the lineup while the pitching is kind of working itself out. It was the offense that was really tanking in the last month of the season. So, and then the pitching obviously didn't show up against the Braves, and it didn't show up against the Padres here. But, he's going to learn that this is New York and you can't penny pinch here. You have a blank check. Make sure you make the right decisions and go for the big hits. Go for the big guys.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we have a country here that pretty much supports the Blue Jays across the only nation, the only team in the nation. And we had this, similar result. Getting knocked out in 2 games like that was really tough. They actually also seemed to just, make some tweaks at the deadline. Didn't go all in like a lot of the other American League teams, and lost to Seattle. Jason was down for a 4-game series in July, and the Mariners swept the Jays. Yeah. And so, it wasn't that big of a surprise, but I think a lot of people started thinking that the Jays were going farther. They had, were determined that this was the year. And 2 games later, they're going home.
Yeah, I mean, you guys had a great offseason. Everybody was talking that the Blue Jays actually had one of the best off seasons in baseball last year. So, you guys were primed, and everybody picked you guys to win a division. Didn't start off that great, but you found your footing and ended up getting hot towards the second half of the season. But it's just one of those things, man. Baseball is a cruel sport. It really is. Like, it can break your heart. Like, you can think that your team looks good and they're destined to go deep into the playoffs and have a good run, and then just like that, things happen. So, I think the Blue Jays, going forward, I think they're fine. I think they're gonna need a little bit more starting pitching. But offensively, I think they're in a good space. You guys have really young talent. You guys have good players. So, it's gonna be one of those years where they actually, crack through, and you're in a good division. So, that happens. It happens.
Yeah. Well, it is. There are a lot of Mariners fans because we're here on the West Coast. We're only 2-hour drive away from Seattle. As I said, Jason took that trip down there this year. Those Mariner Blue Jays games are really fun. Jason, remember how great it was to go down there with all the Canadians and having fun. That was, you said that was the trip of your summer.
Yes, it was. And it was fantastic because of the fact that we kind of seemed to take over the stadium, so to speak. And it was just great to see the sea blue and white jerseys out there representing the Blue Jays. Now, what would have been better is if we'd won a game. That would have been better. But unfortunately, we couldn't pull that off. But at the same time, it was enjoyable. It was a great experience. It was great games. And then also, too, like, anybody that gets a chance to go to that stadium that the Mariners play in,
beautiful.
You got to go. Got to go, man. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's not called Safeco anymore, don't they? They have a different name now, right?
I want to say yes, but I always just remember that Safeco.
I just remember Safeco. That's I know. I'm sure it has a different naming. They have different branding now. I'm sure, but it's always going to be Safeco to me. I'm sorry.
Exactly. Me too.
I know. Yeah. It is hard to keep up with the branding for stadiums and stuff. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's brutal. It's not good. But it's good for the Mariners franchise. They were out of the playoffs for 21 years. Lost a generation of fans that really will support a team that makes the playoffs. Not being able to be there for that long, it was really tough. I noticed a big drop off in support. And now they've finally got some playoff baseball. I was thinking that if the Blue Jays did beat them, they didn't even have a home playoff date. Right. So, it's pretty tough when your team finally makes the playoffs after 21 years and you don't even get a chance to go see them live. Right. So it's pretty good for them.
Yeah. Now, listen, man, they finally have a cornerstone superstar that they can really say, this guy may be the next big thing. Like, obviously, all those years back, they had a guy named Ken Griffey Jr., right? So, this is something that they can be able to build on. He's a a very personable kid. He smiles. He loves the game of baseball. Is extremely talented. So I think the Mariners, honestly, they have a chance to go deep. Yeah. Like, I would not be shocked if the Mariners end up in the ALCS. I wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me. You know, because sometimes it's the hot hand that gets deep, right? It's not about the best team. Everybody knows that the Dodgers are the best team, but we can see a team that honestly goes deep because they're hot. Like the Cleveland Guardians. I was about to call them the Indians, but the Guardians, they are a young team. They're the youngest team in baseball. They're fun to watch. They're very exciting. So, you know, I'm just going to sit back and watch it. As a miserable Mets fan, I still love baseball. As long as the Braves don't win, I'm fine. As long as the Braves don't win, I'm fine. And the Phillies as well. Braves and Phillies don't need either of those winning, and the Yankees. That's it. Those three teams, I'm okay. I'm okay. Any one of those three teams, I will be miserable for the rest of the winter.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, let's hope for your sake those teams don't win at all. But it'll be fun to watch. I've been enjoying the playoffs so far. It sure ramps up the excitement level, and
it does.
And you know, just seems to mean so much more every pitch, and I really had fun watching the games this weekend.
Listen, boys, it's the best time of year right now for me, obviously, because baseball playoffs. You got the NFL that's in full swing. You have hockey starting. You have basketball starting soon. So all the major sports they're in full gear now. You know what I mean? So I love this time of year. I really do.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. Well, you mentioned the NFL. Week 5 is almost in the books. Just one more game about to kick off in about an hour.
Yeah.
Lots of amazing stories coming out of the NFL this weekend. Let's get into it. I really want to throw out some topics and hear some takes from you. I want to start actually with the NFC East. It was called the NFC Least for quite a few years recently, but I hear some people calling it the NFC Beast now.
Right, back in the 90s.
Yeah, pretty wild. The Philadelphia Eagles leading, only undefeated team. The Giants 4-1 and the Cowboys 4-1, both looking super strong this past weekend. And this is a division that has some of the class of the whole league right now. Very exciting and quite the turnaround.
Nah, definitely. Jason, you want to take it?
Well, first off, okay. I just want to make one comment about like what Jerry Jones had to say about like there being a quarterback controversy. Well, is there in Big D? Like, because now that Cooper Rush is like, oh, I'm 4-1. Maybe Jerry's right. Maybe Jerry got a point. Maybe come on, give me a break, man. No, and no again. But Dak Prescott is good to go. Dak Prescott goes in. But I will give Cooper Rush his flowers because he does deserve that. The man has managed to finagle the Cowboys to a 4-1, start, which is awesome. Because if I'm Dak, I'm like, oh, keep doing that, man.
Right.
This is fantastic.
Yeah.
Now, listen, I'm with you. I think that, I've said it on my show numerous times. Yeah. I like to troll and I like to say that I'm the villain, right? But the one thing that I appreciate Cooper Rush for is the fact that he's very poised. Yeah. And no matter what happens, I remember when he took that big hit from Jalen Ramsey yesterday, got up, dusted himself off, and he kept his composure. It's the one thing that I believe that Dak Prescott needs a little bit more of is composure. He's not a quarterback to me that looks confident in certain situations. Cooper Rush has the same mindset or the same face. It doesn't change. So for demeanor, exactly. So for your team, that's a big pick-me-up when they look at their quarterback and they know that, man, this guy has all the confidence in the world and we're gonna get this done. No matter how we're gonna do it, we're gonna find a way to get it done because they believe in him. He may not have the talent, but his leadership qualities are out the roof. His intangibles are out the roof. And I think Dak Prescott needs to have a little bit more of that. And I think that's where he can be able to crack through and become an elite quarterback. But until then, he's good, but you're always gonna have guys like Jerry Jones and others needling him because of those situations. He needs to take that next step.
Yeah, well, when Dak signed the $160 million deal, I think he pretty much was, in everybody's eyes, cemented in there as the quarterback for the for the long-term future. And they gave him $95 million of that guaranteed. So, you really can't go in another direction, can you?
No, you can't. I mean, listen, there's never been a $40 million backup quarterback. Right. And the thing is that a lot of people say, oh, Cooper Rush looks better. He looks better because, one, this defense is a top 3 defense. Yeah. This is a top 3 defense in the NFL. We're not just talking about the NFC or the NFC East. This is one of the top 3 defenses in all of football. They are nasty. They get after the quarterback, and Trayvon Diggs is playing out of his mind. So when you have a defense like that, when they're running the ball as effective as they're doing, Cooper Rush has become a game manager. You can't then put Dak Prescott in that same situation and say, hey, do what Cooper Rush is doing, because he's a $40 million quarterback. You pay him to throw the football. Yeah. You don't pay him to manage the game. So it's a different offense. It's a different scheme. Now, can they mix it up a little more instead of being so pass heavy now? I think that's what they should do. They should run the ball more. They should utilize the play action more, because Dak Prescott is a very good play action quarterback. So if you have the running attack now that's playing well, that play action attack gets better. So I think going forward, when the Dak does come back, hopefully he doesn't come back next week against the Eagles, because that's not a good game to come back to. But when he does come back, I think they need to have that same strategy where they're going to dominate the running attack, make sure that you control the tempo that way, and then Dak Prescott can make his plays. I think that's a good formula going forward.
Yeah. Well, they beat the Rams, defending Super Bowl champion. We know the Rams won that Super Bowl basically because of their defense. Was this a changing of the guard, this showing that Dallas is now a superior defense to those defending champs?
I think Dallas has shown over the last 2 years that they're for real in regards to the defensive end. I think what's going on with the Rams is that it's hard to repeat. It's hard to stay on top. It's when you win a Super Bowl, when you win any championship, to be able to get back there and to keep that hunger. And the team is not the same team. They got Billy Wagner. That was a great addition, right? But Bobby Wagner. But offensively, there's the problem. Offensively, they're not running the ball great. The offensive line is not blocking great. Yeah. Allen Robinson has been a complete dud, and they signed him for what, $15 million a year. So we're talking about a guy that was brought in to be, a number 2, a real legit, reliable number 2, and he's not even that. So they have big issues on the offensive side of the ball, and it's not just one thing. Also, you have Matthew Stafford that's not looking too confident right now, and he's just throwing the ball to Cooper Kupp on every shot because he doesn't have any confidence in an Allen Robinson. There is no OBJ on the other side. There is no Robert Woods. So there's a lot of things that they need to do, and it starts with trying to, revamp that offensive line and get him some protection because, when you play teams like Dallas that have a good front seven, when you play the Eagles, when you play, the Bucks that can be able to get after the quarterback, you have to protect Matthew Stafford, because if you don't, he's going to turn the ball over a lot and you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, and it might be a bit of a Super Bowl hangover. You said it's tough to repeat. We see the Bengals. They made it all the way this year. They're struggling as well.
Yep.
Jason, what's wrong with Cincinnati?
What's wrong with Cincinnati? Well, first off, what was wrong with Cincinnati in the beginning there was their offensive line. Yeah. But then, you know what? It took time for all those parts to come together for Cincinnati in their offensive line. And as the NFL weeks have progressed, you saw them get better and better and better. All right. Yeah. But then in this game that they just had against the Ravens, you know what? They kind of had it. But Lamar Jackson did Lamar Jackson stuff. to get them that win. So I don't know if I could really lay that at the feet of the defense, because Lamar Jackson, you could somewhat argue, is possibly having an MVP type season right now.
Yeah.
So with that, so Cincinnati, I think they're still there. I think obviously there's still room for improvement. And I think one of the major things that obviously improved on is their offensive line, and the fact that Burrow's just not constantly on his back and looking up at the sky. That really helps, But at the same time, the defense just needs to be a little bit more accountable, and also too, like stopping the run game. They need to be on top of that. Their linebackers got to be more attentive to the run. That's why.
Also, too, I'll piggyback off what Jason's saying, that I can't really put it at the feet of the defense. I'm going to put it at the feet of Zach Taylor, the head coach. When you have Joe Mixon as your running back, when you have Joe Burrow as your quarterback, when you have Jamar Chase, when you have T. Higgins, when you have Tyler Boyd, when you have Hunter, what's his name? The tight end. They have not Hunter Renfro. I can't remember his last name.
Hayden
Hurst.
Yeah,
Hayden Hurst. Excuse me. If you have Hayden Hurst, you have a potent offense. You have great offensive weapons, and for you to have a boring, dull, very vanilla offensive play calling, that's the problem. There's no creativity with that play calling. There's nothing when you have those dynamic playmakers on the outside as a at running back, at tight end. You have to be able to take a little bit more chances. So for what I'm saying right now, against a Baltimore defense that has not looked good all season, granted it's a division game. Division games are always tough. I expected more offensively out of Cincinnati.
Yeah. So we talked about the Cowboys in the East. Let's talk about the Eagles. Only undefeated team so far. Jalen Hurts is just having an absolutely phenomenal breakout year. Great last year, but this year he's on another world, another planet, and it's been phenomenal to watch.
Yeah, unfortunately, I have to say that the Eagles look good, right? Their defense, I think their defense is top 3 in the league. I think if I'm gonna put the best defenses in the league, I gotta put Cowboys, the Eagles, and maybe the Bucks. I think those are the 3 teams that have the best defenses right now. But the Giants are not a slouch either. So you have some teams here that defensively they're scary. The Eagles defensively have everything that you need. Linebackers that can run end to end. You have Darius Slay, who's a shutdown corner. The front 7 is amazing. Yeah, like you said, Jalen Hurts is playing well. He's never been an accurate quarterback, even from his days in Alabama. Then he went to Oklahoma, but he's playing well. I think he's put in the work. They've given him weapons. He has AJ Brown on the outside, Devonta Smith. He has some guys that can be able to make plays. Dallas Goedert at tight end. They're dangerous. And then when those guys are not getting open, now you have to worry about him using his legs. So it's really a hard thing to game plan for, and I'm really interested to see how the Cowboys are going to game plan for him next week. That's going to be a very, very interesting game. I think that might be the game of the week for me personally. So I want to see how they're going to be able to corral him, because Dallas has not done well against mobile quarterbacks this season. Daniel Jones ran all over them. So, if Daniel Jones can run over you, and he's a pretty good athlete, we got guys like Jalen Hurts that can be able to run for 200 yards in a game. You better be on notice. So, they're probably going to have to keep a robber there. That's going to have to watch him. But we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, the Eagles, they're flying high, no pun intended. You know what I mean? They're looking good, and it pains me to have to say that.
Yeah, that is. I think that is a game of the week. It's the Sunday nighter, a week from right now as we're speaking. That is huge.
Yeah.
I looked ahead for the foreseeable future for the Eagles' record after this. If they are able to beat Dallas and get 6-0, this is their next opponents after that. They play the Steelers, who got shellacked by Buffalo. They play the Texans, the Commanders, the Colts, and then their next tough opponent will be the Packers. So we could see a team maybe 10-0 going through this season. Pretty amazing. Their schedules lining up after that Cowboys game.
Now listen, there's some teams there that have some good defenses, right? The Colts, the Texans are no slouch in regards to defensively. That's a nasty team over there. Lovie Smith is doing a really, really good job with the Texans. But to your point, I mean, if they're playing like this offensively, I don't see any of those teams really having a shot unless they have an off day. So, we'll see.
Yeah. Hey, Jason, why don't you speak about the Giants' huge win in London over the Packers? And now they're 4-0. Brian Daboll doing a great job there.
4-1.
Somehow that the Giants were able to really shock everybody and beat the Packers. Great defense at the end, stopping Aaron Rodgers on the 3rd and goal and the 4th and goal, and pulling out the win.
Yeah, just like Barry was saying, their defense is no joke, and they held the previous MVP quarterback and Aaron Rodgers. They held him, didn't let him score, and then that's a big deal.
Yeah.
And the other thing I want to point to is the fact that Saquon Barkley, one of their leaders of that team, said before this season that he was going to show who he was. Mm-hmm. He was going to remind people about just how good he actually is. And he's so far done that this season. Like his numbers, even in that game, 13 carries, 70 yards, a touchdown, 3 receptions, 36 yards. The man can kind of do it all. He can do everything. Yeah. And just with the way that he's playing and the fact that he's playing so well, like he's basically leading the Giants to some of these wins. Yeah. He's doing that, and I'm just impressed. I'm impressed with how he's playing, and I'm impressed with how Daniel Jones is coming across. And the one thing with Daniel Jones in this game, didn't turn over the ball. Right. Big deal for Daniel.
Huge deal. I mean, it's definitely what you said. Everything that you said was spot on, Jason. I think the biggest thing for me is that this team now believes that they can win games. Yeah. Brian Daboll has given them life. When you have an enthusiastic head coach like how he is, that's very passionate, it's gonna spill over on the team. Their preparation, they're ready for games. They're not looking like they're mailing it in. They get punched in the mouth. They're not taking it. They're gonna fight you, and that's a mark of a good team. They're not super talented, but they're just willing themselves in regards to these games, and you have to be impressed with what they're doing there in with the Giants. Now, again, I'm not a fan, but I appreciate good coaches, and Brian Daboll is a hell of a coach. I really have a great respect for him. So I love what the Giants are doing right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Giants fans are happy to get rid of the Joe Judge era.
And, man,
get somebody in there that's confident and capable.
Right. Right.
I kind of started thinking recently about doing like the second greatest segment on the planet. I know you do the first dummy of the week, and it's always great to anticipate and wait for that dummy of the week. I kind of want to do like a hero of the week.
Okay.
Somebody that's on the good side of things.
I like that.
The bad side of things. Yeah. So I haven't quite figured out what we're going to call it, what we're going to name it. I thought geek of the week. No, that's maybe not what I want. Hero of the week. Something. Smarty pants of the week. Something. But I wondered if you guys have somebody that you'd like to throw your hat in the ring for them. Or that category. Do you have somebody that really was the face of this week and did something really good?
That's interesting. Go ahead, Jason.
I got one because nice. He played out of his mind this week. And that'd be Justin Jefferson for the Vikings.
Like it.
Justin Jefferson. He basically put the team on his back. He said. Yeah. Oh, would you look at that? I'll just put my Superman cape on, and don't worry, guys, I got it.
Right.
I got it, and he did.
Right.
You did. So that would be my nomination. Would be Justin Jefferson.
I have two, and I don't know which one I'm gonna put over the other, but I think, all right, for the first one, Gabe Davis. Gabe Davis, you know, the kid touched the ball a few times and touchdowns came with it. So, you know, when you have a 98-yard touchdown, that's impressive. And then you come back again and you had like a 70-yard touch. Like, you know, this guy's just that was impressive to me. But the real hero of the week for me, Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker has not missed a second half field goal in this last, I think, 57 or 72 attempts. So we're talking about fourth quarter, overtime. He does not miss. So a guy like that, to have a weapon like that when it's clutch time, you know that you can depend on him no matter how far it is, no matter what the conditions are, no matter what the situation is, that guy is going to deliver. Justin Tucker for me.
Nice.
Okay.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and that's a good one. Yeah, he has been money, and Baltimore must love it having the best field goal kicker in the league. He's just automatic pretty much.
He's money.
Yeah,
he is
money. Just march him out there and you got points on the board. Okay. I have also two, like you do, Barry, and the one I thought about putting forward was Taysom Hill.
Oh man, 4 touchdowns. Yeah.
Can you believe the day he had, the Swiss Army knife? Right. 4 TD day. He actually even had a fumble recovery, returned some kicks. The guy was just
that was a college game
day, I think.
Yeah. Nah, definitely. That's a good one too.
Yeah. Listen to his numbers: 9 carries for 117 yards, 3 touchdowns. He threw 1 pass, and it was a touchdown pass. He recovered a fumble, and he returned 3 kicks for 69 yards. The guy was just incredible. It must be nice to have such a weapon. On offense.
Yeah. It really is, man. I mean, you know, you can't define him at a position. He's just a football player. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? And a guy like that, you have to try your best to get him on the field as much as possible. So, you know, shouts to Dennis Allen, getting him out there and, you know, utilizing him to his strengths. You know, he's an amazing weapon. He really is. He really is.
But okay, Taysom Hill, amazing week. Appreciate it. I think maybe next week you'll be hero of the week for me. But I'm putting forward Matt Rule today for my hero of the week. I am amazed that a guy.
I need to hear this.
I'm amazed that a guy could go home and spend the next 4 years sitting on his couch and collect $40 million for being completely incompetent. Man, I think I really have a new hero in my life. A guy that just has figured it out. I really want to sit on my couch and watch sports for the next 4 years and get paid $40 million for that.
And here's the real funny part about that, Darren, is the fact that he's going to be in line for a big time college job. Yeah. So he'll be getting paid by the Panthers as well as getting paid by some college team as well. So, I mean, listen, Matt Rule is a good guy right now. He's fine. He's not mad. He's not mad at all.
No. When that word came down that he got fired today, I don't think anybody was surprised. No. They've won 1 game out of their last 12, 11-27 that he's been there. When they handed him that contract 7-year deal, I think a lot of people were quite shocked and quite surprised, especially on a rebuilding franchise. And he just couldn't turn that around. And now he gets to collect that money. He goes and gets a college job, and he just keeps lining his pockets year after year.
The problem is that, you know, when you have a franchise like Carolina, right, that they've had little success here and there. They've been to a couple of Super Bowls. They're not consistently good. And when you have franchises that are not consistently good, they tend to make a lot of mistakes in their front office because they don't really understand what it takes to be a model organization to win consistently. So they'll go ahead and sign a Matt Rule and give him GM duties and stuff like that because they just don't have an idea of what it takes to build a team the right way. Nobody in their right mind would give Matt Rule roster duties. There's no way. You're coming from college dealing with children and you're going to come to the NFL now and have to pick help pick a team. It's not happening. It's not happening. No. I think what they need to do is think wisely about trying to go get the next smart young college coach, young white college coach, all of these things. Like they have Steve Wilks there. Steve Wilks is a very good coach. Steve Wilks didn't get a fair shot when he was in Arizona with the Cardinals. They fired him when he had no help there, and then they went to go get Cliff Kingsbury. So I think they need to give Steve Wilks a real look, and build it the right way. Build it the right way, because I think Steve Wilks, if given the chance, I think he'll be an excellent coach. But is he going to get the opportunity? The stats say no. Yeah. So, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
And also, too, I just want to jump in there. What the Panthers should be doing is trying to emulate a team that they want to be.
Right.
Where I want to be that organization going forward. So how are they doing
exactly?
What are they doing to be successful, to breed a culture of
look what
success?
The Giants did. The Giants poached the GM as well as the OC from the Buffalo Bills, one of the most successful franchises in the last 4 years. So just like what you were saying, Jason, that's exactly what they have to do. 100%.
100%, man. Yeah.
I'm glad you talked about the Bills briefly, because why don't we go to the AFC East and talk about the Bills. Pittsburgh has not suffered a defeat like that since 1989, and that rebuilding is going pretty tough for them. But Buffalo just is a juggernaut, and the class of the AFC right now, and a team that everybody's got to be really afraid to play, because they look like they're firing on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, I agree. I think, everybody, if people want to say the Eagles are the best team in the NFL, they can say that. It's fine. I'm not going to dispute you. It's the Bills for me. The Bills are scary. The Bills can beat you up, and their air attack is just so deadly, and their defense is nasty as well. So, I think Josh Allen coming out of college, I peg to be better than Lamar Jackson. I told everybody it was going to happen, and I'm not shocked. This kid is good. He's a hard worker. They have a great culture there in Buffalo that's helping him, allowing him to succeed. They put weapons around him. That's always good. So yeah, Buffalo's a scary and dangerous team. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then their defense, like in their secondary, I don't think it's even healthy yet. They don't have all their pieces there.
Yeah.
So that means they're going to be scarier. They're going to be a lot scarier once everybody comes back.
If they can get that run attack good, if they can get their run game going, because I think Singletary is okay, Moss is okay, but they're just guys, right? They need to find something that can be able to spark that running attack, because if they can get that aspect of their team rolling, I don't see any team dealing with them at all.
Yeah. You mentioned Gabe Davis as your hero of the week, and that 98-yard touchdown right off the start of the game was absolutely incredible. But the touchdown that he got, where he wrestled the ball away from the DB there, and they were fighting as they're going into the end zone, that showed the hunger that you need in a young guy that's going
tough guy, man.
Tough customer, and amazing touchdown to me. That was even better than the 98-yarder.
And that's the type of stuff that you want to see out of young guys, that they're willing to go get the football and fight for that thing. You know what I mean? Like, he has a little bit of Robert Woods in him, but he's faster. Obviously, like Robert Woods is a lunch pail type of receiver, right? I love Robert Woods. Gabe Davis has that lunch pail type of ability or mentality, but he's a speedster. He can take the top off the defense. So when you combine those two things, you're looking at the start or the beginning of a really, really great receiver here.
Yeah. Jason, give us the stats on Josh Allen's numbers in 3 quarters. He got benched for the 4th quarter, so Case Keenum came in for some cleanup duty. This is like career numbers, amazing, incredible numbers week after week, and that was 3 quarters.
Yeah, and the one thing I love about Allen is his running attack. I just love the way that he runs
a big guy.
The ball. He's a huge man, and then every once in a while he'll just decide, I'm not going to slide. I'm just going to put my shoulder.
Just going to run over you.
I'm just going to run over you. And then, normally other defensive guys be like, oh, man, you got blown up there. But then if it's Allen, they're just like, well, yeah, he's a big dude.
Yeah.
Got blown up. So 5 carries, 42 yards. And then passing the ball, 424 yards only, 4 touchdowns, just 1 pick. But he does this every week. Yeah. He's doing this every week now. It's just like a regular occurrence for him.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's impressive and great to see such a high-level offense like that. And yeah, him and Lamar Jackson last week playing against each other, just the evolution of the mobile quarterback that can throw for 400 yards and run for 120 yards himself. These two guys I think they're going to be the class of the NFL for the next 15 years.
Absolutely. I mean, Steve Young is very proud. He's just like, listen, man, I could run, but I couldn't run like these guys, I mean, listen, when you talk about the class of the quarterback position for the next decade, you're talking about Mahomes, you're talking about Herbert, you're talking about Allen, Lamar, so the NFL is in good hands in regards to the quarterback position. Absolutely.
Yeah. Also in New York, the Jets, they're above 500 after 5 games. Haven't seen that in a while. They got a big win over Miami. Obviously taking out Teddy Two Gloves right away. He got sauced and into concussion protocol.
Yeah.
Having to turn to their 3rd string quarterback. It was crucial, but the Jets seem like they've turned a corner and might have a decent year.
Listen, I like what's going on with both New York teams right now. Both New York teams are showing a lot of fight, a lot of grit. Breece Hall, that kid is special. Like when you talk about, I look at the running back position in football. I analyze that position very, very deeply. I can always spot the next guy. Breece Hall has all the ability to be the next guy, just like the kid in Texas, Pierce, Damian Pierce. I'm like Breece Hall, Damian Pierce. Those kids, man, they're the real deal. Big, they can catch it, they can run it. They can change directions well. So the fact that they have Breece Hall, the fact that they have Michael Carter, who's still a really good running back. Zach Wilson didn't have a great game, but he didn't have a terrible game. And if they can have him have these average games and the defense can play as well as they've been playing, I think the Jets can possibly, fall into 8 or 9 wins, possibly. So we'll see. They're 3-2 right now. I mean, they're looking good. They have some momentum. There's some good feelings around the Jets right now. So, hats off to Robert Saleh and that crew, and they're doing a good job.
Yeah, Jason, Breece Hall, give us his numbers. He almost had 200 yards, right?
He actually almost did, which was just ridiculous. 18 carries, 97 yards, 1 touchdown. But the one great thing, the best thing, like I actually did a double take when I saw that, because I'm like, oh, that can't be right. Is that right? 2 receptions for 100 yards.
Yeah, he had 1 reception for 75 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
So,
I was looking at that and I was like, he really did it. He did it like that. Yeah, that's amazing.
He's special, man. He's a special kid. Trust me.
Yeah.
The Jets, I said it after the draft. The Jets had one of the best drafts I've seen in the last decade.
Yeah.
From any team.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm talking about even my Dallas Cowboys, that over the last decade, Dallas has had the most Pro Bowlers in the NFL, right?
Yeah.
But what I've seen out of the Jets that last year in regards to the talent that they drafted in that one draft, it's one of the best drafts I've ever seen, and definitely the last decade.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and also I was gonna
go
say
ahead, Jason,
real quick. But what actually helped the Jets too in the win of this game was the fact that they knocked out Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh yeah,
and they had to play against their
poor Skylar Thompson. Yeah.
I didn't know who that was at first either. I was like, who is this dude?
I mean, nobody did. But just going back to Teddy Bridgewater, it's tough to see, and concussions have been on the forefront over the past few weeks now.
Yeah.
The fact that they have 2 quarterbacks now in concussion protocol.
Yep.
Teddy Bridgewater has had a history of concussions, so I hope that he's okay and he can be able to resume his career. But once you get older and you continue to get those concussions, man, the next step is to walk away from the game. Troy Aikman had to do it. Steve Young had to. There's a lot of people that had to walk away from the game in regards to hits. So, and I'm trying, I said it on my show, this past week's show, that it's not much the NFL can do. It's a violent sport. There's no breakthrough scientifically that is going to stop concussions. It's people running into each other at 20 miles an hour. So, it's just, it's tough. It's really tough. So, my hat's off to everybody. Prayers up for everybody that's been dealing with it. Naheem Hines, he looked really, really bad on that Thursday night game. So, that definitely hats off to him.
Yeah. You mentioned Thursday night. I want to talk about that in a few minutes. That was one of the worst football games I've ever watched. So I don't want to dig too deep into that. But
can you name a worse one? You said one of the worst. Can you name a worse one?
That was a dog. That was for sure. But sticking with the concussion talk, there was a play yesterday. Grady Jarrett tackled Tom Brady, tossed him to the ground on the tackle, and got flagged for roughing the passer. I think, is that a knee-jerk reaction by the referee, thinking that this caused a possible concussion?
1,000%. 1,000%.
It was horrible call.
And listen, we already know why that happened, right? If this was Marcus Mariota, that passing, that roughing the passer doesn't get called. If that was Russell Wilson, roughing the passer doesn't get called. Even if it was Patrick Mahomes, roughing the passer doesn't get called. Thomas Brady, that roughing the passer is getting called. So we all know what it is. It's just as bad as the Tucker rule. It's the same thing. It was an egregious call. Were the Falcons going to win the game? No. But it's just one of those egregious calls that you just can't make. And it's just obvious to everybody is that it's Tom Brady. So, it's just really, really bad. Really bad.
Yeah.
Well, he had, sorry, Darren, but he had the audacity to touch Tom Brady.
Right.
What
exactly.
are you doing?
Right.
What are you doing? No, touch him. Maybe try to push him over.
Right. Shove him over. Yeah. Shove him over. But don't tackle Tom. You don't do that. Don't tackle Tom. No.
Please.
I heard somebody say we just put a mint on his pillow and place him on the ground, and everybody will be fine.
Yeah, lay him down gently. Every time you hit him, you apologize and you move forward. That's it.
Yeah. In the NFL, they haven't really had that Jordan rule like they had in basketball. Basketball, we always knew the veterans really got the calls all the time, and as a rookie, as a young guy going forward, you weren't getting the call. In the NFL, there's not that many players that have that untouchable kind of rule, but
Brady has
one. Can you guys name others? I can't think of any off the top of my head.
No, because the only person that Brady single-handedly changed football in many ways. If you remember, the year that he tore his ACL, he got hit low, tore his ACL. He was out for the season. They didn't make the playoffs that year, which is crazy, but the AFC East was really good that year, and that ended up, stopping those low hits on quarterbacks. So he's the one that has changed the face of football in regards to how quarterbacks are well protected. It's the reason why he's still playing, because if football was still, played the way it was played 10, 15 years ago, Tom Brady would not be playing football right now. Right. So it's just, the Brady rules have been in quite a while.
Yeah. And also too, like with the Brady rules, it's given us more though.
Yeah.
Because of those rules, because now you got guys like Matt Ryan that were able to extend their career, Drew Brees, like all these amazing quarterbacks because of those rules put in place to protect the quarterback. So and I think that in itself is a good.
Yeah. So it ended up being a good thing. Okay, we mentioned the Thursday nighter briefly. Horrible game. The thing that stuck out for me the most was that Broncos fans were leaving as overtime was about to start. And that's got to be concerning for upper management, ownership. You shelled out $245 million for this new shiny toy and Russell Wilson, and you brought him in. You're not letting him play like he should be playing, and you're getting terrible results out of it. I think that Nathaniel Hackett is really close to getting that axe that Matt Rule got today. But that was a dog of a game, and it's tough to see Denver after going out and trying to splash on the free agent market, get this huge big guy in and change this around, and it has not worked. This has not worked whatsoever.
Yeah, Jason.
Oh, oh my goodness, it hasn't worked at all. Like, I'm looking at Russell Wilson, I'm thinking to myself, well, he has the weapons, he has these options around him, so he should be good, right? Well, I guess I'm wrong. Like I'm completely wrong. Like he's not good. Like I don't know if it's him trying to press too hard, or it's because of the play calling from Nathaniel Hackett, or if it's a combination of the two, which is just giving me this thing on the field where I'm like, this is like unwatchable. Like, what are you guys doing? Yeah. And I believe on top of that, they're the most penalized team in the NFL, the Broncos. So that means they're completely undisciplined. Yep. That definitely comes from the coaching.
Absolutely.
So I'm looking at that and I'm going, like, what are you guys doing down there? Like, a lot of it doesn't make sense. And a lot of it didn't even make sense in the overtime when they lost. The play calling at the end in the red zone, my hands were up like this. Yep. I didn't understand what they were trying to accomplish. I
agree. I have a ton to say about the Denver Broncos because it's multi-layered. Yeah. If we're gonna start with Nathaniel Hackett, let's go there. Like you said, play calling is questionable. His game clock management questionable. Yeah. When you have a head coach that brings in a consultant to help him with game time management, you have a problem. And I don't know if you guys heard about the USA Today coaches project. I had mentioned that on my show, that they took a poll from GMs and owners about, minority hires and the reason why guys don't get hired and certain things like that. And one of the main reasons was lack of game time management. So I said, that's very interesting how you can criticize a minority candidate for having a lack of game time management when he's never had a job before. How can you criticize somebody if he's never had a job, right? Yeah. So you hire somebody who doesn't look like me or Jason.
Yeah.
However, he has a problem with game time clock management. So if it's not good for us, it's good for you, and you can be able to be bad at it and try to fix it while you're still employed. So it's one of those things that, I always laugh at. That's one. The second thing is they have a huge Russell Wilson problem. And it's not just the fact that he doesn't look good in the offense, because those things can be able to get worked out. Tom Brady and the Bucs didn't look good the first few games because they had no training camp. Things were still, they're working it out. Him and Bruce Arians never got along, so they're trying to figure out that power dynamic. So give it time to kind of work itself out. The problem that I have is that Russell Wilson is not a good leader. He has bad body language. He's always had bad body language. And nobody really looked at it in Seattle's because Pete Carroll really protected him. And he protected him to a fault, because what happened with the Legion of Boom is that it caused and it created a lot of animosity towards Russell Wilson. That Super Bowl, that pass created a lot of animosity, but it didn't start there. It's because of his lack of leadership. It's because of his lack of genuineness. I've heard this a lot about Russell Wilson. What you see is not who he is, and you can be able to look through that. When you have guys like AJ Hamler, like showing you up on the field, you don't see that happen to Tom Brady. You don't see that happen to Ben Roethlisberger. You don't see that happen to a whole bunch of really great acclaimed quarterbacks, but you see that happening to Russell Wilson.
Right.
There's a problem there. You see that they have a meme out there where Melvin Gordon is looking at Russell Wilson sitting on the sidelines drinking his water, and he's looking at him like, is this what we paid for? Like this, there's a problem there. Yeah. And even in his post-game press conference, the disconnect of him saying, Broncos, they don't want to hear that from you. No Broncos, let's ride, or whatever it is. They want to hear that you're going to be better. You're going to show more. You're going to be a leader. I'm starting to really think, guys, that it wasn't Russell Wilson that wanted out of Seattle. I think Seattle was done with him, and they realized it, and they said, we don't want to trade him unless we get what we want. If we get what we want, we'll ship him out. If we don't get exactly what we want, we'll keep him until we figure out how to be able to split and part ways. They got a king's ransom for Russell Wilson. The Seahawks right now are in the better position than the Broncos are. I'm telling you that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love your takes, and I have heard a lot of rumblings about Russell Wilson and not getting along with guys for years, and I thought that was sometimes it's jealousy, sometimes it's a little bit of I wish he wasn't getting all that notoriety, but you did say that when he threw that pick in the Super Bowl, it started a divide that has been there for many years. And,
and it was there, like I said, it was there before, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back. That was it. That was it.
The crazy thing about here in Vancouver is that we get inundated with a lot of Seahawks talk because all of our American channels are Seattle based, and the rhetoric and the talk as he was going out of town and Geno Smith was going to take over was that Geno Smith is not capable of conducting an offense like Russell Wilson can, and this team's going to be rebuilding, and they're going to be horrible on offense, and we be prepared for a really, really tough year on offense. Well, the offense has looked great. It's this defense that has looked absolutely terrible. Probably the second worst defense in the NFL right now. Detroit and then them. They had another tough game yesterday and got not blown out, but allowed another 39 points to the Saints, and they didn't seem to look on that side of the ball to fix things. They thought that the trouble was going to be on offense. You heard it, Jason, here all the time. It was just focused on the offense, not on how the defense was going to look.
Yeah, because it's like they just kind of forgot about it. It's like, no, I think the defense is going to be fine. No, actually, no, the defense is not going to be fine. The defense needs a lot of help. But the thing that's been impressive to me has just been how Smith has been. Yeah. He's been fantastic. He's been excellent. Right. You could say that he's been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, like with his game plan stuff. Like when you put up 48 points, and first off, I realize it's against the Lions. I get that. I get it. But at the same time, he still put up 48 points, you know? And then he had 32 points against the Saints in this one. So he's not the problem. And you could argue, too, that he's definitely playing better than Russell Wilson. So them moving Russell Wilson out of Seattle, brilliant move.
Yeah.
Brilliant move on their part.
And also, too, I think the problem with Seattle that they've had since the Legion of Boom has kind of dissipated, right, is that they have drafted poorly. John Schneider is one of the worst GMs in football. He has, I'm telling you, like when you talk about Seattle finding talent, they got lucky drafting DK Metcalf. Lucky that teams just, thought that he was at Ole Miss and didn't really impress that much. He was a physical freak, but they didn't know that he can catch the ball like that, right? No. They lucked out into getting him. But in regards to the defensive end of the ball, they don't draft well. They don't get guys that can be able to be impact guys. They draft guys that are very, very marginal at best. So that's the problem, is that John Schneider needs to be the next guy to go. Yeah. Because it's one of those things where they have to get somebody who understands how to build this team the right way. And they've been building this team very poorly over the last 7 years.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you're dead right there, Barry. They seem to get enamored with trying to find those guys that everybody else missed on.
Right.
And this guy's going to be the diamond in the rough, and he's going to have a chip on his shoulder and prove everybody wrong that all 29 teams passed on me. And they found a few of those in his early years, and then he just decided that that's what he was always going to search for. Not the best available, just the best guy that nobody else knows about. Well, nobody else knows about them because they're not high quality top guys. And, they ended up having many bust drafts over the years.
It's a phrase that I like to coin. I say, don't chase the dragon, right? It's about you seeing that once in a lifetime thing, and you think that that's the norm. That's not the norm. The drafting the Legion of Boom, how you fell into 7th round gems, 6th round gems, 5th. It's not the norm. You need to be able to do your scouting the right way, have good guys that know what they're doing at the college level to be able to find the right players. You're not finding the right players. And he's just thinking that he can be able to create another Legion of Boom. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, no. We're a couple minutes away from kickoff on the Monday nighter. A bit of a mismatch when you look at the records. Is it going to be a game that we want to watch completely, entirely? Chiefs Raiders.
I think so. I think that it's a division game. Right. And division games are always fun to watch. The Chiefs and the Raiders have always played each other very, very tough. Yeah. I picked the Raiders to win this game tonight because I think the Raiders, I think they're poised to win a big game. Derek Carr hasn't looked that good, but I think they're poised to have a breakout game tonight. Doc, call me crazy. I don't know. What do you think, Jason?
Okay, Barry. All right. So you feel comfortable. Just kind of okay. So let me phrase this like this: you feel comfortable about going against Pat Mahomes, like I felt comfortable going against Brady in the Super Bowl when they were playing the Atlanta Falcons. That's how comfortable you feel, right? Is that what I'm hearing?
I'm not that comfortable, but I'm a little. I'm gonna give them the edge. I want to give them a slight edge tonight because, like I said, if you look at the last few matchups that they've had, they played each other very well. I think Derek Carr, he hasn't looked good this season, obviously, but the entire team hasn't looked really good this season. So, it's time for them to kind of settle down. The one concern that I have, it's not the talent, it's not the defense, it's not the special teams, it's the coach. Josh McDaniels he's what he is. He's a guy that accepted a coach job and then walked away from it and went back to New England. He is not he's not a leader. He's not a leader amongst men. He went to Denver and didn't do well, right? This is not a guy that is a head coach. He's not a head coach material. He's a coordinator, and he's very good at being a coordinator. I don't think that he's a head coach. And the problem that they have is that I don't know if they're going to be able to overcome that over a season. Can they be able to win some statement games here and there? Absolutely, they can. But I just don't trust Josh McDaniels going forward to lead this team anywhere. I really don't.
All right. Well,
what do you think tonight's gonna? What do you think's gonna happen tonight, there, Jason?
Okay. So I think it's going to be a close game. I think if Carr is kind of smart, he should be targeting Devontae Adams. Like the bulk of his passes should be trying to get to Devontae Adams.
15 catches.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like that's where the ball needs to go.
Yeah.
But also too, at the same time, like, I know, Barry, you're taking the Raiders. I'm going to clearly take the Chiefs because Patrick Mahomes is just that dude is something special, man. Like,
he's a freak. Yeah, he's a freak.
No, he is. Like, my goodness, the sidearm passes and stuff, and just his creativity on the field. Like last week, where it looked like he was about to run it in, but then
man, yeah.
Just right over the top.
He's fun to watch, man. You know, when you talk about must-see athletes, he's a guy that you have to watch. Yeah. Like he reminds me of, and I hate to bring this name up because he's such a disappointment now, but he reminds me of Brett Favre. Brett Favre used to be very fun to watch. He just had this childlike, joy when he was on the field, when he played. And I think Patrick Mahomes has the same thing. And I really do love to watch him play.
Yeah, I love to watch him play. And yeah, what I'm hoping for the most though out of this game is that it's just an entertaining and close.
Yeah,
game.
Right. Yeah. Let's not have another stinker, please.
No, don't need that.
No. Yeah, no, there's been too many primetime games have been bad this year. So yeah.
I don't know, man. This Amazon deal may not be good for Thursday night football.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, last week I said we should ban Thursday night football, and let's hope they go in that direction one day. Sticking with the AFC West, we're talking Chiefs Raiders tonight. We talked about the Broncos on Thursday. The Chargers, the other team. Can Brandon Staley really mess up Justin Herbert's career with the mistakes that he makes on the field? This team loses way too many close games, and he came close to blowing another one on Sunday, deciding to go for it with 1:14 left on their own 45-yard line, 4th and 2. He decides to go for it. They miss it. Cleveland luckily didn't advance the ball, missed the field goal, but he makes too many mistakes, like we saw Nathaniel Hackett making. He could ruin the prime years of Justin Herbert, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL.
You know what's funny, and Jason's gonna like this one. For years, I heard a certain coach in Los Angeles get criticized for not having great game time or game clock management. They wanted to burn Anthony Lynn at the stake.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
However, Anthony Lynn gets fired and they put in Brandon Staley and they're having the same issues. However, I don't hear the same clattering for his job that they did for Anthony Lynn. So again, it's just one of those things where it's just like the complexion really makes it funny. It really does. But going to your point, Darren, Brandon Staley's not a good coach. He's not. He's in that category with the Zach Taylors and the Matt Rules and the Nathaniel Hackett's, is that they're the great young minds that know how to get things done. Oh, you can put Cliff Kingsbury in there too as well. Guys that just look the part, and they're these great offensive geniuses, and they don't understand football in regards to its trenches and what really makes you win football games. He doesn't get it. And I don't think he's going to get it. I just don't. There's just certain coaches that have it and certain coaches that don't. And I don't think Brandon Staley has it. I just don't. So to answer your question, yes, I think he is going to ruin Justin Herbert's career. But at the same time, it's the Chargers, and this is what they do. They have good quarterbacks, they have good teams, and they end up just, not really getting to where they need to be with all that talent. So,
yeah.
And then that's part of the reason why Brandon Staley's job is going to be kind of okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they have that talent.
Yeah, right.
And the talent will kind of overcome his mistakes.
Exactly. Literally.
That's what's happening. Yeah.
Literally. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's frustrating. I'm a long-suffering Chargers fan, and you're exactly right, though. That's what Lynn was taking criticism for all the time. And, some of these heartbreaking last-second losses. And, I'm not seeing anything different, but very weird how there's
it might be a little worse
being thrown back onto the
it might be a little worse, Darren. It might be a little worse than what Anthony Lynn was doing. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it could be. I do want to finally congratulate the Houston Texans for getting their big victory. Lovie Smith, you mentioned Lovie Smith. Love the guy. Really hope he does well there. I hope they can turn this around. They do have that. They do have a good defense, and hopefully they can get the pieces in place so Absolutely. They can be. They can try to nip at the playoff heels of some of these teams and turn this thing around.
Yeah, man, they're on their way. You got to build it slowly. Can't build. Rome wasn't built in a day, but I think the way Lovie Smith wants to build this team is defense first. Run the football. They have those things in place. I think Davis Mills is not a terrible quarterback. He's a quarterback that you can win with. They need a little bit more skill positions on the outside as well as tight end. So if they can be able to have another decent draft, in the next few years, I think the Texans can be able to be a very, very, respectable team. Absolutely.
Yes. And I also too, I hope the organization gives Lovie Smith time.
Exactly. Yes. Give him a chance.
Give him a chance. Give him the time that he needs so that he can build up the team the right way. Because he's already doing that right now.
Right.
He needs time for the rest of it.
Exactly. Like, give him a chance, man. It's about we're in the NFL that it's about what you can do right now. And people forget that the NFL's hard. The NFL is really hard to be a head coach and to establish your schemes, to establish how you want to play. It takes time for your team to buy in. So you have to commit to a coach at least, for me, 2 years, even 3 years to be able to really see what you can get out of that coach. But we don't live in that era anymore. It's about instant gratification and what you can be able to do now. So, that's why young quarterbacks don't sit anymore. They come straight from college and they go right in because it's that instant gratification rather than letting kids sit. I'm still an advocate for letting kids sit. So one of the only teams that threw in a rookie quarterback this year is the Steelers. Kenny Pickett is now their guy. Love that kid.
I'm a huge fan of the Steelers organization. I love that they've had Tomlin in place for so long as that real beacon, black head coach that really can have playoffs every year. Very consistent organization. You can count on the Steelers being there every playoff year. Do they allow Tomlin to work through this transition to a new quarterback, a new offense, and on into the future? Or is it, we've lost too much in these 2 years, you're gone? Do you see the Steelers doing something dumb like that?
100% he stays here. I mean, the Steelers have had the 3 head coaches in the last 40 years. So, it just goes to show you that they are not an organization that believes in changing things when you have a good one. If you have a bad one, then obviously you got to do what you got to do. But when you have a good one, those good coaches will find a way to be able to get back to where they need to get to. I think what has gone on with the Steelers is that they really haven't done Mike Tomlin a service in regards to this roster. They should have drafted a quarterback years ago. You know, the fact that, you know, you can still have Roethlisberger there, but they should have drafted a quarterback to be ready. So when he was, you know, he was ready to walk away, that they had somebody that can be able to step in and be ready to go.
Yeah.
They don't have that. Kenny Pickett is maybe a year or two away. He's good. I like him. But at the same time, you know, it's going to take time. Tomlin has never had a losing record in his coaching career in regards to he's never had a losing season. So, you know, this might be his first one, and it's okay. You know, let them retool, let them draft well, and let them come back better. You know, I think Najee Harris, you know, he's a good running back, but you know, is a little banged up now, and that's a concern. You know, you want to see some durability out of your big backs, out of your stars, but if he's going to be banged up, they're going to have to draft somebody else to come behind him. They have great wide receivers on the outside, so they have the pieces in place. They're just young, so it's going to take them a little time. TJ Watt's hurt, so you know, if Watt's not hurt, this defense looks completely different. You know, you got Minkah Fitzpatrick that got lit up on Sunday. We know that, but you know, with TJ Watt, that's a different dynamic. And you know, I still think they have a good core of guys. They just need some more pieces to put things together, and they'll be fine.
Yeah, and on top of that, Mike Tomlin, if you're talking about coaches, head coaches in the NFL, there's no better leader than Mike Tomlin. So definitely you trust in the process, and you definitely trust in his process.
Absolutely.
Because he's proven it time and time and time again.
Right.
So you just let him go to work, and you just get out of his way and be like,
exactly.
Whatever you need, Mike, you let us know so that we can help you.
Mike Tomlin is one of those coaches where, you know, if you're a GM and you have his number in your phone, you say, you know, I'm going to call Mike and ask him a question. You just don't even pick up the phone. You say, you know what, I'm just going to leave him alone. Just going to leave him alone. Just let him do what he wants to do. I don't want to bother him. You know, just get out of his way. That's what you do with Mike Tomlin. Get out of his way, give him what he needs, and he'll get you there.
Yeah, well, the Steelers are, you know, such a shining example of how to run an organization. And like you say, 3 coaches in the past 40-something years, and you know, the stability that's there, and you know, the proper direction. Do you think Big Ben would have got his ego all up in a knot if they did draft a guy that was going to be the next one, like Jordan Love coming in and Aaron Rodgers being a little perturbed? We've seen it. We saw it with Tom Brady not liking Jimmy G in the rearview mirror there. Do you think Ben would have been able to handle his, you know, successor coming through?
I think so, because I think, you know, with all of those other guys, they were still playing at a pretty high level. Ben wasn't. And I think that Ben knew it. So Ben wouldn't have a problem with, now, would he mentor the kid? Probably not. But, you know, I don't think he would have a particular problem of them drafting a quarterback. And I think that they should have did that. Now, granted, they tried. You know, they had they had Dwayne Haskins that they were really, really high on, and you know, rest in peace, Dwayne Haskins. You know, that tragic situation there. You know, I truly believe that, you know, had he not passed, he would have probably been the guy to take the reins. So you know, they were trying some things, but you know, it's just one of those situations where I think too much respect was given to Ben Roethlisberger in that situation. You want to respect your legend, you want to respect the Hall of Famer, but at the same time, you want to make sure that your team is set up for success moving forward. You don't want to just, okay, this is our Hall of Fame quarterback, and then we have nothing else after that. You have to have contingency plans put in. And, you know, that's why Bill Belichick is who he is. That's why a lot of other teams, you know, have success, because, you know, you have to look at the team going forward and not the Hall of Fame player.
Yeah. And it's got to be logical. You know, you have an organization to run.
Right.
That's why, like, back in the day where Brett Favre was a little bit pissed at a person like Aaron Rodgers.
It was smart.
But it was smart.
Yeah.
It was the right play. It was the right thing to do for your organization. You have to keep that in mind.
Right.
Every time that somebody says this is a business, you got to treat it like a business. A lot of people get a little bit offended by that, but a proper business has a succession plan. And
absolutely.
They, you know that nobody's going to be here for life. So we need, an opportunity to bring somebody forward and continue this playoff run that we've been on. And and hope they can run the business properly, because every person retires eventually, and you have to have somebody in place to take over the reins.
Absolutely. Yep.
Raiders just scored. They're up 7-0. So Barry Grant's looking good with his predictions so far. It's early, but the Raiders are on the board, 7-0. Touchdown by Devontae Adams.
Well, at least I got that part right. So I helped you there.
58-yard touchdown reception for Devontae. So Raiders are on the board. This is hopefully this will be a fun game.
It's gonna be a good game.
Offensive shootout tonight.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jason.
No, I believe so. I believe it's going to be a very good game, and Raiders struck first. That's cool. See who strikes next.
Okay. Tell me, rate number 1 through number 4, the quarterbacks in the NFC West now. We've got the Niners, Rams, Cards, and Seahawks. So far in those first 5 games, how do you rank those 4 guys?
Come on. Oh man. Okay.
Do we have to?
Huh?
So do we have to?
Has Gino had the best start out of all 4 of those guys?
I would say Gino.
I would say, I would say Gino looks the best right now. I would say Kyler's after that. I would say
I think Goff has had the worst start out of all 4 of those guys, and he's the defending Super Bowl quarterback.
Oh, you're talking about Stafford? Yeah.
So Stafford.
It's a hodgepodge of quarterbacks in the NFC West, to say the least. It's not pretty. Not pretty at all. Not pretty at all.
I think I put Stafford last, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Are the Vikings ready to take the NFC North over the Packers this year?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's by default. And the reason why I say that is because, nobody believes in Kirk Cousins. He's good, but Kirk Cousins is not a big game quarterback, and everybody knows that. Now, if you're just okay with him getting to the playoffs, then you've achieved what you want to achieve. But in regards to getting to the next level, Kirk Cousins is not that type of quarterback. They have the talent. Yeah. He's not the quarterback to be able to lead them to where they need to go. For Green Bay they have problems. And the problems that they have is at the quarterback position. Aaron Rodgers is a poor leader. And the problem that they have with him is just that. It's been over the last decade plus that this is not news. There's been teammates that don't like Aaron Rodgers. They've come out publicly and said that they don't like Aaron Rodgers. He is not somebody that at this stage of his career you can be able to look to for any type of guidance or leadership, especially at the wide receiver position, and especially in regards to defense. And, he called out Jair Alexander for saying that, they're concerned about, losing a game to the Jets. And it's listen, if you want to say that, whatever, but it's, there's certain things that as a quarterback, you need to keep it in-house. You don't need to blow up on your young receivers. You need to take them under your wing. You need to make sure that whatever you're demanding out of them, that they understand that and that they can be able to work on that in practice and stuff like that. But you don't show them up on the field. You don't yell at them. You don't call them out in the media. No. And that's the problem that they have, is that Aaron Rodgers is a big issue. And the other issue is that Green Bay's GM is not great. They don't surround him with talent. So, I don't know how far this team can go because they don't have much weapons. They really don't. Yeah. So, I think it's going to be the Vikings division just by default, honestly.
And also too, they let talent walk out the door.
Right.
Let Devontae Adams just go, oh, we don't need that guy anymore.
Well, I mean,
And
well, the thing is that he left because why? He couldn't trust Aaron Rodgers to stay. He's like, listen, I love you, but if you can't commit to playing the next 3 years, I'm not staying here. I'm not going to stay here, sign this big contract, and then I have no one to throw me the football. I'm not doing that. So, it's partly Aaron Rodgers' fault, and it's partly the Packers' fault. They're cheap, and they want to spend on talent, and Aaron Rodgers took all the money and let the best receiver walk out the door. So, they have a terrible situation. Oh, and we haven't even spoke about this. Matt LaFleur. There's another young coach guy. That's supposed to be an offensive guru that just doesn't understand clock management and certain plays. So it's just the league is full of them. The league is full of them. Incompetent coaches. It's full of them.
Yeah. And the only guy that's actually young that I would say is competent is Sean McVay.
Yes.
That guy.
He's the gold standard. He's the gold standard.
That guy.
But see, that's the problem though, Jason, is that people are chasing the dragon. So they want that. So for every Sean McVay, you're gonna have 15 Zach Taylors. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen.
True enough.
Yeah, I'm glad you addressed the USA Today article because I heard your podcast and when you brought it up and discussed it. Do you think we're going to see how many years until we see a shift to the best available guy, regardless of skin color, having those black head coaches finally taking the reins and getting the proper opportunities?
It won't happen in the NFL. I'll tell you that much. Until we have a change of ownership, until the good old boy ownership changes, which I don't see is going to change. They're not going to. Why would they sell their team? There's no reason for them to sell their team. It's either a toy for them. It's a moneymaker. They're not going to. So until that happens, you're going to see the same thing in the NFL. I said it on my show that black coaches or minority coaches will have a better shot going to the XFL and starting their careers, or going to college and being, head coaches at a big program that way and building yourself up that way. But it's not going to change because how long did it take for the NFL to accept the black quarterback?
Yeah.
It took a while. Like Doug Williams literally had to win a Super Bowl, and even still, they said, it's a one-off.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where it's unfortunate. I said on my show as well that I think if you're a minority coordinator or candidate for a head coaching job, don't even waste your time. I wouldn't interview for the job. I'd go to college. I'd go to the XFL. I'd wait there because, until things change in the NFL, why would you waste your time? It's one of the reasons why I want the Rooney Rule to go. I want that. Just get rid of it. Don't force these owners and these GMs to have to, interview minority candidates when they don't want to, because we already know that they don't want to do it. Can you imagine being a candidate? I have to dress up. I have to make a game plan, a playbook, and all this stuff. I have to give you this spiel about how I'm going to be able to change your team and all the weapons I can be able to use, how I'm going to utilize this player and what players I'm looking at in the draft and how we can be able to have a good team when I know for a fact you don't want me.
Yeah. So it's a waste of your time.
It's a waste of time. So just get rid of the Rooney Rule. It had a purpose when it was implemented all those years back to give us a chance to sit at the table. We don't need to sit at the table anymore. We all know that there's talented minority coaches out there as well as Caucasian coaches out there. It's just that people are choosing to go this side rather than this side. And it's not that Goodell is doing all he can to be able to incentivize trying to get more minority hires, and it's not working. So,
And there's only so much Goodell can do.
Exactly. There's only so much he could do. He works for the owners.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's it's too bad that that old boys network is there and they're entrenched, and it's going to take them to die or
Yeah.
move on for some reason to change the game. It was one reason why I'm proud of Canada and the Canadian game, because Canada gave opportunities to the black quarterbacks. Warren Moon came up here,
Absolutely,
showed his skill off for 5 seasons, and was able to get an opportunity finally down south. You know, a lot of opportunities given to guys that they just ignored down south. They came up here, were able to show their talent. They were able to get some scouting, and then finally given a chance.
absolutely, 100%.
So, okay, that's a wrap on the NFL. Looking forward to that Sunday nighter a week from now. That's going to be awesome. The Eagles Cowboys. It'll be super fun to watch. Let's just finish off with some NBA news. We're really close to the start of the season, but the biggest story right now in the NBA is Draymond Green deciding to use his teammate as a punching bag, and has taken a leave of absence from the team. The team didn't suspend him, didn't tell him to. He's decided on his own. Is this the beginning of the end of the Draymond Green era in Golden State because of this outburst and him not being able to control his temper, and the video that showed that? Because we've had teammates fighting, over the history of the NBA, but not the video that shows a guy getting cold cocked and almost knocked out in practice.
Yeah, Jason.
Okay, so Draymond Green actually did an MMA move, which I was kind of impressed with. Superman punch. Superman punch Jordan Poole into oblivion. That's what he did. And I was just like, oh man, so he's been training. That's pretty cool. But at the same time, I don't know what Jordan Poole said, because obviously there was no audio. Right? But even with whatever he said, I played basketball. I know what goes down on the court sometimes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you deserve to be punched into oblivion over anything.
Right.
And I mean, like, depending on what's said, like there's some stuff that's obviously, off base.
Yeah.
Some stuff. But I don't think Jordan Poole even went there. I don't think he said anything of that nature to get that kind of response from Draymond. And also, too, the other thing that kind of bothered me was the fact that Draymond's supposed to be a leader on that team.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to be a leader of that team. So him doing that, trying to solve that with like violence, bad look, wrong move for him. And then there's also a lot of other stuff that I was thinking about, because now that the video was leaked, who leaked that video?
Right. Yeah.
Why was the video leaked? Yeah. Does the team want leverage against Draymond when it comes to negotiations going forward? Is that what it was? Or is it something else? Or did somebody with Jordan Poole's camp on the team didn't like the narrative of Jordan Poole being kind of thrown to the bus because it's like, well, he seemed kind of different, or he seems full of himself and blah, 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 blah. None of that made it, like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Right. So, like, what you're trying to do is rationalize the reason why Draymond punched him into oblivion. And by the way, kind of a huge size difference between the two players.
Yeah.
So
not good.
I didn't like it. I did like the fact that obviously he finally came out and apologized to the team, apologized to Jordan. Obviously, he clearly did that privately as well. And now he's taken some time away from the team, which is probably for the best, because I think Jordan would still be pretty hot over the entire fiasco. Yeah. He'd probably be still pretty pissed. So him being away from him so cooler heads can prevail and they can try to talk it through and think it out, that's probably for the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's multi-layered for me. For the first part, just to go in regards to what Jason was saying, one of the video guys leaked it. He leaked it to TMZ and got paid $100,000 for it. Jeez. So, I made a joke on my show. I said, listen, if this video guy was making intern money, he now has $100,000. If he got fired, hey, got $100,000 in the bank, right? So, it worked out for him. But in regards to the fight itself, it's basketball. This happens a lot. I think what really sparked obviously the outrage is the video. This happens a lot around sports. You see it in football. You see it in we had last year Bobby Portis or it wasn't last year, a few years back, Bobby Portis had broke Miritich's jaw in Chicago. You know, so these things happen, right? It's unfortunate that it happens, and sometimes people do cross the line. But when you have guys in training camp battling every day, you know, jaw jacking at each other. You know, I grew up in the hood where, you know, we play basketball and you're scared to cross over a guy and make him fall or embarrass him in front of people where they're laughing because you're going to put that basketball down and put your hands up next because there's going to be a fight, right? Yeah. So it's just the culture. I'm not condoning it, but I understand the culture that Draymond comes from, and that's how things are done. Now, like I said, this is a multi-layered situation for me. I think that what you're seeing out of Draymond Green is decline, and it's not decline just physically. It's decline knowing that he's in decline. When an athlete knows that he's not the same on the court anymore, there is a insecurity that comes into it. Now, if you remember a few years back when Kevin Durant was on the team and they had that blow up, right, where Draymond Green called him a B and they had that argument. Yeah. That argument sparked from Draymond's insecurity. It was, don't clap at me and ask me for the ball. I can play basketball too. I was here before you. I was Mr. Gadget Man and did everything, right? I'm a key piece of this team. We saw what Draymond looked like in the NBA Finals in the first few games. He didn't look great. He looked very, very bad until he kind of got his footing and you know, they ended up winning, but he's in decline, and I think he knows it. And it's one thing to know that you're in decline, and then another thing to think that your teammates know that you're in decline. So he's now on heightened alert, right? He has a young Jordan Poole who's worked himself up into the league. You know, I think he was a late first round pick. You know, really got himself going now. He's in a position where he's an important, vital piece on this team going forward now. Draymond Green's importance to this team is still there, but he's not what he was 4 years ago. Sure. So we're now talking about a player that is looking for where he fits. No. And it's a insecurity thing. I'm telling you, as an athlete, I know that feeling of knowing that it's over. You know what I mean? Knowing that it's very close to being over. And you do things to try to put yourself back up there physically. I'm going to impose my will on this young kid because I don't want him to think that he's going to get over on me. Although he might be better, although I might be losing a step, I have to show him that I'm still the big dog here. And that's where he stepped over the line because he's feeling it in the insecurity category. I'm telling you, I just, you know, from what I heard from his press conference, that's exactly what hit me. You know, he said, hurt people. You know, he might be dealing with a lot off the court. Who knows what his personal life is? You know, if he's having some marital issues, or it's just what I was talking about. His career is in decline and he knows it. And that's a tough thing for an athlete to have to come to grips with, because at some point it happens to all of us, right? So I think that's kind of what's going on with Draymond, honestly.
Do you want another shot of that, Jason? You want to say a few more?
Well, I was just going to add, unless your name's LeBron James, never
and Tom Brady, and
Tom Brady. Unless you're those two people, then yes, you're going to decline. And excellent point, Barry. Excellent.
Golden State Warriors had the highest ever payroll in NBA history this past season. What they should have spent most of the money on was anger management classes for Draymond. If they gave him anger management classes for the past 5 years, they probably have 2, 3, 4 more championships. He caused them one title when he got suspended. He caused him another few championships when he kicked KD out of town. And this has been a problem for a long time. I think it's time for them to get anger management classes or get him out of town.
Well, I mean, listen, this is like, I wouldn't say that this is their final run season, but when you're looking at what's in front of them right now, Draymond Green has a player option. You have Anthony Wiggins, his contract is up. Jordan Poole needs his money. I don't think all three of them are going to be back. They're going to have to make a decision on one or possibly two of them. So if there's an odd man out, it's going to be Draymond Green. Yeah, it's going to be Draymond Green. And that's a hard decision to make as an organization for a guy that was a part of your run as a dynasty. It's tough. It's a tough situation, but here we go speaking about that whole organizational responsibility thing, right? Is that you cannot pay Draymond Green $40 million. That's not fiscally responsible for the Warriors to do. So they have to be able to invest that money into either Andrew Wiggins or Jordan Poole or both of them. So, Draymond Green is going to be the odd man out, whether they decide to trade him at the deadline, whether they decide to, just part ways at the end of the season. I just don't see Draymond Green coming back to Golden State unless he takes a severe pay cut.
And on top of that, now the management, like the GM and everybody, has to loop in Clay and Steph.
Exactly.
Those conversations definitely got to happen.
And you got and you got the young guys coming up too, Wiseman and Moody and Kuminga. So they have the young talent coming up now, which means that there's decisions that have to be made. Every dynasty gets to that point where they're like, okay, do we continue this run or do we break it down and try to build it back up and build with the young talent? It's just the way it goes.
This has been an incredibly well-run organization, having those two down years with the injury troubles they had and being able to get another championship. And we talked about succession plan with the NFL. They have done a really good job doing a succession plan, bringing these guys in. And it would be criminal to give a max contract to Draymond Green at this stage of his career. You can't do it based on what he's done previous. You have to be looking forward.
Absolutely.
And, I think he has to be the odd man out, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So I'm excited. You're right, Barry. This is the best time of year for sports. So much excitement coming. I get to, just enjoy my life. I don't get to enjoy it as much as Matt Rule does, but but I'm doing pretty good. I'm loving life. I'm glad I could do this podcast every week, and it's so great to have you join us tonight. Tell us about the Gryd Network before you go.
Yeah, man. The Gryd Network is something that has been in the works for a long time in regards to my vision. I always wanted to create a network for myself in regards to creators, giving them a shot to be able to just build together. Nobody on this network is where they want to be currently, but I think together we can be able to get to where we need to be. I have, we got Bryson Carver, Carving It Up podcast, really young, knowledgeable kid. You guys need to listen to his podcast. You would think that he's our age, how he speaks about sports. He's just a way advanced. He's a great guy. We have a Jets podcast run by Alfred Parsar Jr. It's called Rocket Fuel. Really, really good podcast. We have Patrick Brown, who runs Chaotic Sports Podcast. He just pretty much started and, trying to find his groove, but he'll get there. We have the Cowboys Can fan guys who are, they're in Canada and they're Dallas Cowboys fans, and they have a great podcast. It's very entertaining.
Cool.
Who else we have? We have my boy Ryan Flowers, based in Las Vegas. Clutch Sports Talk. He does a Sunday morning NFL show, as well as a like a post game after dark Sunday show. So there's a lot of guys on the network, man. We grind, we do what we have to do, and we're building together, and it's really fun. It's definitely a lot of fun.
Love it. Good for you, man. Really awesome. Great to hear. I'm glad your visions are coming true, and always keep setting those goals and dreams and keep reaching them, buddy.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Appreciate your time today, as always, Jason, and you, Barry. This was fun. We'll have to do it again.
Nah, of course, man. Thank you guys for having me, man. I wanted to get on here with both of you guys at some point, so I'm glad I was able to do it tonight.
Yeah, this was fun.
That's been an absolute pleasure, Barry. Absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
No problem, man. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Thanks, Barry. Yeah, we will keep in touch, obviously, and enjoy the rest of the Monday Nighter, and have a great week going forward. We'll talk soon. Okay.
All right, man. Cool.
Okay.
Cool. All right.
Okay.
Signing off.
Bye for now. Wow, that was fun. That was great. It's been a while since we've done a 3-person podcast, but so many fun takes and lots of laughs, and yeah, two really great guys that I appreciate that are in the podcasting world, covering sports and loving sports as much as I do. So yeah, I just wanted to do a thanks to all the people that stuck in, listened, watched, and yeah, we really appreciate your time. As always, super valuable time you have. I want to thank our partners and sponsors too. Anchor.fm, easiest place to make a podcast. We couldn't do this without them. They are fantastic at posting on multiple podcast platforms for us. So go to Anchor.fm and follow their instructions. You'll be able to do this. I want to mention Verbero, the hockey equipment and apparel company, industry leader in technology, performance, and value. And the V350 stick is a must-have for any hockey player in your midst. Pampas and Possibilities, they are really great at doing amazing things for your home. West Coast vibes with nice, pretty things and things to spruce up your home, make it look great. And of course, Forever Living, the aloe vera company for health and beauty products. And you can purchase products on our website, completesportsmedia.com, at really discounted rates and stuff. Go to our website, go to our parent site, completemedianetwork.com. 2 podcasts a day on Thanksgiving Monday. Wow, what a day. Had a fantastic time. Hope you enjoyed watching this. And yeah, tell your friends, tell your family. We will see us very soon. Love you lots. Take care of yourself, and bye for now.